This is Fantasy Avenue, hosted by Mikey Andersen, your road to fantasy football victory. Hello and welcome back to Fantasy Avenue. I'm Mikey Andersen, and this week we got a doozy. We got a Saturday episode. Weird trend, I've kind of found that people kind of like the Saturday Sunday episodes more than the week episodes, which is a little strange to me. I think the more devoted fantasy players like the week ones, but most of my listeners half of them don't even care about fantasy football, and the other half aren't that devoted. And so you're either listening just to listen because you think it's funny, or you're listening and your mind is on fantasy football only on like the weekends when football is being played. So it's kind of my shift is to have these Saturday, Sunday episodes. And it's also easier for me because I got a busy schedule, bro. I've been out here, I got school and football and it's crazy. And then I'm sitting in wondering, what do I do on a Saturday night before I go watch the Bobcats play? And I'm like, well, might as well film a podcast. So we out here. Now, this is going to be a kind of shorter episode because there's some specific dudes I want to talk about. Usually I imagine myself just like floating down a river in a canoe. That's kind of how I do things, right? And there's little rocks that I bump into in my canoe, and those are my tangents, and then there's a nice little wave that I ride, and that's the player. I'm kind of just going with the flow. Today I got a couple specific heaters that I want y'all to look at, and then a little trade that I'm trying to get done that I'd love to talk about, but that's really it. This is not going to be spend your whole night listening to this episode. This is going to be a it's time to win episode. Reviewing week 5. It was a good week. Got to start out with the Broncos dub. Holy crap, what a win. I was out, couldn't really, had to go to a friend's house there, cupcaking. I'm cupcaking with a friend there, watching the Broncos. Chandler would understand what I mean by cupcaking. But I had to find a place to watch the Broncos, and I got that done, and man, what a win it was. That would turn a non-Bronco fan into a Bronco fan pretty quick. I loved it. There's other things that are big. There's the high-scoring games from the quarterback position is specifically this week. And then the Bengals finally figuring out how to play football until the very end of the game when they lose. There's a lot to talk about. So we're gonna get into it. My number one guy I want to talk about before anything this week is Alec Pierce. This dude is added in, you would never be able to guess, owned in 31% of leagues on NFL Fantasy. He is the 17th ranked receiver in fantasy football, and there's a chance that Michael Pittman is not playing this week. This dude is my 1,000,000% number one ad. If he's available in your league, pick him up and start him. Pittman might be playing. Even if Pittman's playing, he's playing as the number one receiver in fantasy. Alec Pierce is. If he's not playing, I would be willing to bet a significant amount of money this guy scores like over 15 points. His I saw a stat. His catches yardage is insane. He's a top 10 in yards in the NFL. He's the only dude that doesn't have like over 35 catches on that top 10 list, and he has 17. So he has half of anyone else around him, but as many yards. His yard per catch average is nuts right now, and Joe Flacco was balling. Now that's another thing. If Anthony Richardson plays, I'd be like, but Alec Pierce still scored with him. Now Michael Pittman, on the other hand, he is not a start for me. He's hurt. He was coming off a man, I sound like one of those record. I'm not gonna say I sound like a record that's like repeating because I have no idea what a record actually does or how it even works. I'm not gonna lie and try to act like I'm not 18 years old, but I feel like I'm sounding like there with my stutter. Anyway, get back on track, Mikey. What was I even talking about? Oh no. Oh yes. Oh god. See, that's what this podcast is. This podcast is a live radio show, and when you forget on live air, you can't be like, oh, edit that out. No. We roll. I was talking about how Michael Pittman was not very good with Anthony Richardson at the start of the year. Anthony Richardson might be coming back now after being absent, so I'm not starting Pittman, but I'm looking at Alec Pierce, and I'm really liking him. My other biggest ad for the week, Tank Bigsby, the running back on the Jaguars. The first big game, he had 10 2 weeks ago, 33 last week. He was on the field for 80% of the snaps, and he's only owned in 38% of leagues on NFL fantasy football. This dude is getting the carries now. what I've just historically seen from Jaguars coaches, they say one thing, they do another. I honestly think that's one of the problems with the Jaguars is they have no backbone. Honestly, you know what they said this week? They said Travis Etienne, their number one running back, a guy I was really high on the start of the year, is not losing carries. He's still the number one back. Well, I don't believe it. And if Tank Bigsby is a dude you can just pick up, maybe not start this week, but just pick up, I have a sneaky feeling that Tank Bigsby is going to be on the field for more than 50% of snaps. And that Jaguar, I mean, they just have no like credibility over there. Okay, coming from a fan of an organization who's won a lot in the past and has recently sucked, I see similarities between how much they suck and what the media is told, okay? Now, I finally think the Broncos are getting back on track with being a little more transparent. I do not think the Jaguars are being transparent with what they're doing, and I love Tank Bigsby for that. He is my biggest ad. Another big ad for the week, Kareem Hunt. Man, see, I low-key might just change this whole episode, not even, because I kind of wanted to make this a short episode anyway. I might not even talk about the high scorers of the week unless they're big ads, like usually I just talk about like, oh, it's no surprise Derrick Henry scored 35 because he's Derrick Henry. Maybe I don't even need to do that this week. I'll just talk about my top ads. I talked about, I was going to talk about the quarterbacks. All right. I'm going to do this running back, come back to the quarterbacks real quick, then I'm going to come back and rehash, then I'm going to go to receivers. I got a plan in my head. It's working out. No plan, no problem, baby. My next ad is Kareem Hunt, and my drop is every other Chiefs running back. I picked up Samaje Perine when Pacheco. There, I was trying to think of his name. When Pacheco went out, he was kind of the dude that I was betting on. I was like, this is the guy who's gonna be the guy. He was not. Kareem Hunt has risen to the occasion. Carson Steele, the blonde-haired baddie, not really playing like a baddie. He's also a drop for me. But Kareem Hunt, he had 63% of the snaps. He had 100 rushing yards, 15 receiving yards, a rushing touchdown, 27. That's the biggest thing. 27 carries. I mean, that's nuts. Just a quick shout out to Donnie. Donnie, that's why I'm trying to trade you Joe Mixon right now. Okay, that's why you want Joe Mixon. He might have been hurt, but man, he had 30 carries when he played, and carries means everything. So Kareem Hunt is getting the volume, and he's the dude on the Chiefs team who you really want right now. And I'm saying that flat out. This is the dog to add. Go ahead and add him if you can, because he's the man. So those are your running backs. I'm going to go back to quarterbacks real quick, talk about them, talk about that trade, hop back over. We're going to get this all done in like 15 minutes, and it's going to be freaking awesome. And then I'm going to go watch the Montana State Bobcats whoop some butt today, or tonight, night game, 8:15 p.m. That's what I'm doing this podcast at 6:33 p.m., just in case you're wondering. My dinner plate that I brought up here, and a plate of cake for my birthday left over, which is a week ago. So a week-old cake and a plate of dinner sits here as I do this podcast. That's kind of the hours. You know the hours. Quarterbacks, I wanted to talk about two things. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase went nuts. They were like, according to this league's scoring, Jamar Chase had 47, Joe Burrow had 44. Now, every league scores differently, but those were the top two players in fantasy. So I know people who did a stack, which if you don't know fantasy football, a stack means like a quarterback receiver stack means that you draft both quarterback and their number one receiver. And so when if the receiver has a good game, the quarterback has a good game usually, Receiver went for 150 yards and a touchdown. Quarterback probably threw for like 300 yards and a couple scores. So you stack points based on single good games. It's an interesting strategy. I don't do it all the time, but I've done it before. I did it with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen a couple years ago, and it actually won me a league. But it's kind of a hard thing to pull off, and it doesn't always work. Anyway, if you got a stack on that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, you're loving life right now. The other quarterback I really wanted to talk about, because there's really you're going to be hard-pressed to find a quarterback to add at this point. You got to know who you got, and you got a ball, right? Josh Allen got me 17 points. Like that, he's not balling. That's just disappointing. Anyway, another quarterback I got to talk about is Big O Kirko Cousins. Holy crap. He scored like, I saw in one league, every league's got different scoring. He scored like 55 points. I was like, holy, 500 yards, 4 touchdowns? That's nuts. He always has, I saw his TikTok earlier this week, like, there's that game right there was the yearly legacy October-November legacy game for Kirk Cousins, where he reminds you that he's a dog at quarterback before kind of falling off into averageness for the rest of the year. Now, I really hope as a fan, I look kind of like the Falcons. I rock with their defense. They got some like Dirty Bird swag type thing, and I like their offense, and I like how Justin Simmons, old Bronco, plays for them. All that like mashed together, kind of makes me want to root for Kirko a little bit. So I hope that this was not a legacy game and that he's going to fall back down, but that this was the start of a new legacy in which he's a dog and a consistent player. Anyway, I just thought that was awesome. You're not going to be able to add Kirko Cousins. He's the number. He's coming off a 40-point game, but it was cool. And the fact that he got 8 points the week before, everything about it is just like what. So it's funny. All right, so no quarterbacks. I had a little talk about them. Running backs: Tank Bigsby, Kareem Hunt. Receiver: Alec Pierce. Tight ends: I'm gonna look. Tucker Kraft has been going straight ham. Tucker Kraft's the only tight end that I think that is even really not rostered enough that you could add, but he had a good week last week, 14. That was the time to add him, and I posted about him on my story. Like, he was the dude to add. If you didn't get him then, and then he scores 28, and now he's all of a sudden the third-ranked tight end, really based on 2 weeks. I mean, he's getting the volume. Like, you had to grab him, right? You had to have him. And I didn't have him. I just talked about having him, and that sucks. And okay, final thing. I'm ready to move on to my final thing, and then get you guys out of here. We're gonna have about a 15-minute episode. That's gonna be a record. I'm feeling good. I'm just feeling like I'm feeling like I got a little pep in my step, a little swag in my talk. This is awesome. Last thing I want to talk about is the Broncos defense. Now, I'm gonna try to be as least biased as possible, but the Broncos defense is playing lights out this year. They are allowing like the second least points per game, have like the second most turnovers, the second most sacks, averaging over a pick a game. And we just got some Warriors on our team. Now, I'm sure that sounds biased, but they played really well against really every team they've played. Their last 3 weeks, 22, 18, and 20 points. I mean, that's insane. They're going up against the Chargers next week. They're nothing. The Saints have fallen off. The Panthers. They don't until week 9, week 10 is when they play the Ravens and the Chiefs. And honestly, the Chiefs aren't even that much this year. I mean, you think about the next 5 games, they have one real team that you might not want to start. That's nuts. And when it's the 4th-ranked defense, and it's a team who historically, because we've been pretty terrible, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say we've been good. We've been one of the worst teams in the NFL the last 10 years of my life. When that happens, people are just kind of hesitant to pick them up anyway, right? They just have a bias that, oh, this team's got to be bad. But our defense is not bad. Our offense is not bad either. Our defense is one of the best in the NFL, and that's really why, all these things are coming together. A good schedule, a good team, and just an idea in most people's heads that they're not good, which makes them available in most leagues. That's something that's really hanging with me, and it's really being like, this is a consistent defense that I think can win you some weeks. Man, so that's it. There's your ads. There's your episode. I gotta go watch a college football game and hopefully not freeze my butt cheeks off on the top row of the metal bleachers. Hopefully, I don't know where our seat is. I really hope our seat is a little bit lower than the top row. I said that as a joke, but now I can see it in my mind, looking down on the field through a telescope and just wishing I was at home with some hot chocolate instead of about to fall off of a 50,000 foot tall metal pole with 2 ice cubes for glutes, right? I mean, that's the image in my head, and I do not like that image. But so pray for me. Pray for Fantasy Avenue. It's time to go. The year's heating up. The season's heating up. College. It's time for colleges. It's time for high school football. It's time for Halloween. I mean, it's just a great time to be alive, and I love you're part of it. So I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for stopping in. Peace.